Hi, this is Lasers, Dragons, Keyboards. I'm Aaron DeMott.
I'm Liberty Spiedelhart,
I'm Joshua Hart.
and today on our show we have Kerry Nietz. Kerry is an award winning science fiction author. He has 12 speculative novels in print, along with two novellas, a handful of short stories, and a nonfiction book, Tales. Carrie's novel, A Star Curiously Singing, won the Reader's Favorite Gold Medal Award for Christian Science Fiction and is notable for its dystopian cyberpunk vibe in a world under Sharia law. It is often mentioned on best of lists. Among his writings, Carey's most talked about is the genre bending Amish Vampires in Space, which my son absolutely adores the cover and will not stop talking about it if it's out on display. Avis. Avis was
Funny.
mentioned on The Tonight Show and in the Washington Post, Library Journal, and Publishers Weekly. Newsweek called it a welcome departure from the typical Amish fare. Kerry is a refugee of the software industry. He spent more than a decade of his life flipping bits, first as one of the principal developers for the now mythical Fox Software, and then as one of Bill Gates' minions at Microsoft. He is a husband, father, and technophile, as well as a movie buff. Welcome to the show, Kerry. I think this is the second time we've had you on the show, but it's been a few
Yeah.
Yep.
years. So,
Yeah.
Good
welcome
to be here.
back.
Welcome again,
Thanks
Kerry.
for having me back. Yeah,
Departure from the
appreciate
typical
it.
Amish fiction. That is a big understatement.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 it is.
Yeah.
When you
And,
get
and
some
I,
spaceships in there and some vampires, yeah, you're off the
mhm.
beaten trail for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I was not kidding when I said my son is obsessed with the book cover. I won't let him read it yet. He's like 14, but I'm sure it'd
Okay.
be safe
Yeah,
for him. But yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'd be fine.
It's
maturity level, he's not 14 yet. So
Yeah,
it's wildly divergent from what you would expect, and it's definitely not bonnet fiction. So
no,
There are bonnets in it.
yeah.
yeah, they're honest, but especially on the cover, yeah. But
Oh.
okay,
If
so
somebody picks it up being expecting a regular Amish book, well, to be fair, if they look at the cover and go, wait a minute, but
right, right.
So what are
You
your
know the
favorite
artist.
projects?
You know
Oh,
the
go ahead.
artist is in the cover. I don't know if you knew. Kirk DePonce is on the cover. Like he's the dead guy on the floor. I don't know if you knew
Oh,
that
I
or not.
didn't know that.
Yeah. Yep.
awesome.
I mean, he usually
Yep.
tries to put himself or one of his family members on the cover in some
Yes.
way. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So, pretty
So,
cool.
Carrie, we do like to start off with all of our guests the same three questions. So, what is your name?
Okay.
What is your quest? And what is your favorite color?
Kerry Needs. My quest is to survive the holidays at this point,
yeah,
and
no kidding.
yeah, and my favorite color is orange.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So,
Excellent.
I think we can all agree on the surviving the holidays. For those
Yeah.
listening to us in the future, this is being recorded just before Thanksgiving of 2024.
Yep.
So,
And it's
Could
been.
be worse. It could be recorded for Thanksgiving of 2020, so you know.
You aren't
Yeah.
wrong.
yeah, yeah.
So, uh, why don't you tell us a little bit about your most recent projects?
Sure. My most recent release is a book called Rats Free. It's like the third book in a series that main characters are spacefaring rats. So, like the first book was named Rats, and then Rats 2, and then Rats Free. And there's also a prequel book of sorts called Rataloo, which is kind of an alternate history where the rats make it to Earth during the Battle of Waterloo. So that's kind of
Oh,
fun. Yeah.
Interesting.
fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, and they're all set in a universe called the Takamo universe, which is actually a gaming universe that started back in the 80s. Started as a kind of turn-based by mail game. Like the computer, you mail in your moves, and the computer would then decide who who did what, and then send you back results. And it grew to a following of, started out as a college kids side project and grew to have a following of about 10,000 people playing this game at the same time.
Wow.
And in the
Wow.
process, it had like its own newsletter, and there was a lot of lore that grew up from that. And so that's kind of where, like, that obviously the college kids are much grown up now, and they're
Oh,
working on a massive multiplayer version. But in the process of that, they kind of decided it'd be cool to have books in that universe and dig into that lore, and it has been fun. It's been a fun experience.
Oh, neat.
So
that
Now,
is
yeah.
really awesome.
I must
I've
admit,
never-
I haven't actually read the Rats books. They are buried somewhere in the middle of my giant TBR pile, though. So,
Yeah, they're fun. My youngest son is a big fan, and my 85-year-old dad reads them too. So
Oh, fun.
I think
See,
they have
that's the way to
broad
do it.
appeal. So
Yeah.
now, question: are there any cats in this universe? Because that could get interesting.
there are not as of yet, but there are definitely some giant spiders and giant ants and other massive. There's actually a giant squirrel at one point too. So yeah,
Could be
Nice.
it's
fun.
a
As,
ravenous giant squirrel.
as
So
long as his name's not Peanut.
no, it's not. Yeah, I know. Huh? Be the
Or
revenge
Peanut.
of Peanut. Yeah.
Yes.
So very cool.
Yeah. Aaron.
Do you have a favorite scene or character from either that or Lost Bits or any of the upcoming
I mean, I
Trench
have lots.
books?
Yeah, I think all my characters are favorites. I mean, in Rats Free, there's actually is there are some spacefaring giant alien creatures that kind of make an appearance, and kind of Bell was trying to stay away from them, and I think that's kind of cool. The idea of uh, kind of floating jellyfish-like creatures in space. It's kind of fun. You don't get to see that very often. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, in the in Encounter at Farpoint, kind of, but
yeah, kind of. Except for their chasing
I'd
you
always
and
wish they'd have followed up on
right.
that a little bit more. Well,
Yeah,
everything in Star Trek was kind of one off, and it's like, especially during the Dominion War, oh, the shapeshifter. What about Wesley's girlfriend? Go hunt her up and have her talk to fellow shapeshifters. But anyway, we're off
yeah,
on a rabbit trail
yeah.
now, so.
I
It's
mean,
true.
when are we not on rabbit trails?
That's where we exist.
Right.
Yeah.
They live on the rabbit trails. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
I got away from my.
So are you? I can talk. Really, I can. Sure. Well,
We're
Liberty's
professional.
looking up whatever she's looking up. Before the show, we were talking about a little bit. You're also having a upcoming novel in the Dark Trench universe, right?
Yes, that's right. I just finished first draft of a book that the series started with the book named Frayed. It actually won a Filmmakers Book of the Year award back in the day, and then there was a sequel called Fraught, and fans were asking, if there was more, and I sat down and decided, yeah, maybe there is more. So started writing. My one dilemma though is that it ended up a lot bigger than I expected. It's actually like 168,000 words. So it might be two books. I'm not
That's a big
sure.
book.
Well, yeah, it's a big book. So we'll see. I might have to split it or
Yeah,
cut it. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
I
usually
under,
cut much. So
Yeah, I was just gonna say my last book was a little over 150,000, so I
yeah,
understand. So
yeah.
kind of a
What did
doorstop.
you end up? What did you end up doing? Did you?
It was I had ended up cutting a plot thread. So I cut that out
Okay.
and turned that into a short story.
Okay.
So that was about all I could cut. Because
Okay.
I write mystery-ish books,
Right.
so it's like you can't
Right.
really split those too much. Um,
Right.
but
So
just
what
as
did it end up being? How big? How
it
big did it end up?
that was the published link was a little bit over
Oh, okay.
150,000. I
Okay.
think first draft was probably 165, 170, but
Okay.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Sheesh, you people in your chonky value moves. I end up having to add stuff.
I used to
Thank
have
you.
to.
Thank you, Aaron.
I used
Yeah.
to have to.
I,
So.
I don't. I usually write lean, so that makes it even more interesting. Where's
Oh
this going to
yeah.
go? By the time
Mhm.
I plan.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I definitely understand. So what is getting left on the cutting room floor, as it were?
I don't. That's the thing. I rarely cut anything. Like
Make
it's
it 2 books then.
if I do it, it's very small. Just not.
Mhm.
I said I don't. I just don't. It's just not usually the way I work. But I'm like a seat of the pants writer, but
Yes.
I'm also kind of very deliberate in it. I don't write a
Mhm.
ton of words a day. If I
Mhm.
get 600 to 1,000, that's enough, and I'm usually done.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps or not, but it does seem like by the time I get there, it's not too bad a shape,
Mhm.
thankfully.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see if this is the exception to the rule or not. I
Mhm.
don't know.
Yeah. So if you're only
And there's
writing
nothing wrong with
600
that.
to 1,000 words a day, how long does it take you to draft a novel?
You know, typically in about 9 months. This
Okay.
one is closer to a year.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that tracks.
so not terrible.
Are you one that writes every day, even weekends, or
I don't usually write in the weekends. I usually
okay.
write Monday through Friday.
Okay.
When the kids are out of the
Okay.
house and it's quieter. So
Darn
Makes
kids.
Yeah.
sense.
yeah. Yeah, even more so when they're teenagers, right? Like it
Oh
just
Yeah.
gets
yeah.
noisier.
Yeah,
So,
Yep.
I
So much
my
whining.
yeah, my oldest plays multiple instruments, so at any time there could
oh,
be oboes or
mine too.
trumpets, yeah, going off in the background.
Mine mine too. He came home the other day and well, I started hearing what I thought was a horn, and I'm like, my brain was a little foggy. It was like, what is going on? And I thought he was still in college. So he goes to college, but he lives at home, and I thought he was still
Mhm.
gone. And then I got a notification that he was home. I was like, okay, it must have been Silas. I don't know what he's playing. He actually was playing an ocarina. Like he had an ocarina.
Oh,
Oh wow.
okay then.
Interesting.
He
I
typically plays piano and percussion, but yeah, he
Mhm.
he had an ocarina he was messing around with. So
Yeah,
That's
That's neat.
awesome.
the things
last
that
year,
happen, right?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
last year my daughter just randomly came home with a mellophone, and then
huh?
later in the year she randomly came home with a French horn, and I'm like, "Okay."
Oh, neat,
Yeah.
So,
neat. How old is she? What age?
she's 16, sophomore in high school.
Yep.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
She's
So
a
she
sophomore in college, and music composition is his major. So
Oh, very
Oh
cool.
yeah, that would explain
Yeah,
the variety of
I'll,
that
instruments then.
I'll
Yes.
tracks.
fall for the cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
So,
interesting. Yeah, she plays 3 brass instruments and then the oboe, so double reed. So,
neat.
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Awesome.
S-
All right.
Yeah. So,
What next? What else for me?
all right. So, where do you get ideas for your books? Because, you've written a lot of, sci-fi,
I'm
but
rotten. Yeah.
but such very
Oh boy.
different uh
Yeah.
facets of sci-fi. So where do those ideas come
Uh, kind of from all over. Amish Vampires is probably the most obvious because that was my publisher at the time. That was like this joke title that he would use when he went to all these writer conferences, and every other publisher was looking for Amish fiction. He
from?
said, "Well, the only Amish fiction I want is Amish Vampires in Space," and so that kind of stirred that idea. Is like, okay, how would the Amish get into space and become vampires? But
Yeah.
um, otherwise it's kind
The
of
same way
random.
they
Like,
get everywhere else. Make their own Mennonite friends drive them.
right, 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 exactly, yeah, yeah, yeah. But like Lost Bits, for instance, that that came from I opened a cupboard here and I found this stack of old e-readers that my kids used to use, back
Yeah.
in the day, and now discarded. I was like, oh, it's kind of sad. They were part of our lives for so long, and then now they're just collecting dust. And I thought, well, what if that would happen with a robot? He found himself kind of in a garbage dump somewhere, and he went looking for his family. So that's where Lost Bits came from. He was like, okay, I'll just
Oh,
follow him.
cool.
I'll start there, and I'll just see where he goes. And who he meets. So Lost Bits is kind of this homeward bound, but with robots. And kind of idea.
Yeah.
And
I love it.
yeah, and then,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
so
read
yeah, they
that
kind
one.
of come. Yeah, yeah, they kind of come from all over, really. So, I mean, typically I'll at least have maybe a scene in mind that seems really interesting, but yeah, ideas come
Okay.
from all over.
Very
I
cool.
like challenges too, so kind of glutton
Oh
for
yeah.
punishment that way. So, like, can this be done?
Mhm.
So.
You know, and you're proving that it can. Kind
Yeah,
kind of a follow-up, maybe a little bit of a rabbit trail. With the um like Frayed, Star Curiously
yeah,
Singing, that sort of thing.
yeah,
Um, you run into a lot of, or you bring up kind of a variant of like Shira Law in there and that sort of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, sure, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
uh, and has there been a lot of pushback with that, in reviews
Not
or
as
at,
much as I
yeah,
expected, and even if you look at some of the reviews, folks that belief system, they seem to still enjoy the book, but they say, well, but that's not my belief system exactly,
mhm,
and which it is, yeah, it's fiction, it definitely is fiction, and the most offense I've ever seen is usually from people who feel like they're defending it,
mhm,
and usually people who claim to be Christians, but who feel like they're defending someone else's faith,
yeah,
Mhm.
That's
but
weird.
maybe, yeah, yeah, like being offended for someone else,
Mhm.
so,
yeah,
That is kind of strange. So,
yeah.
uh,
Not uncommon.
yeah,
no,
Sadly,
Not
not.
not
Yeah.
uncommon today.
uncommon.
yeah,
No.
yeah. So, real quick, I want to give a shout out to the people in our chat, specifically Princess in Christ. So she says that Rats is on her TBR after
Cool.
the Realmakers Book Fest. So she is
Awesome.
apparently getting ready to read that soon.
Sweet.
So,
Yeah,
so,
great,
Yeah.
great.
so, um,
Well, while she's fishing for another one on a slight
yeah.
change of
Go
track,
ahead.
as a
Okay.
reader, what's your favorite book? I know, tough
Ah,
question. All of them? Yeah.
yeah. I have tons, yeah, that's a tough one. Like, I Am Legend is a favorite, definitely. That was one that I read back in the
Mm,
day, and
Hmm.
I think it's cool, And I mean, any book that had 3 movies made out of it must have something,
yeah.
something that makes it good. So, it's definitely a favorite. Um, yeah, I'm a big fan of, like, Michael Crichton, a lot of his books were fun. I'm reading the Eruption book that him and Patterson, that Patterson finished up for him right now, and that
Mm,
so far so good, so, um, yeah, like Jurassic Park, that was a great book. Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
yeah, I have a lot of favorites, old
So,
and new.
so my wife
Yeah,
and I, as a bit of a rabbit trail, my wife and I going back through and watching ER, and I was like, that's kind of weird. Michael Crichton wrote both ER and Jurassic Park. It's two
Yeah,
entirely different
Yeah.
things there.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
We'll talk about genre hopping.
Yeah.
yeah, one of the things that I saw in the promo material for this, or maybe I saw it online, was that there was a time where he had like a Grammy award winning show, or not Grammy award winning, but Emmy award winning show on TV, and like a movie, blockbuster movie in the theater, and a book on a bestseller list, and I think they were all different,
Yeah, not many
so
people
Yeah.
like that's
get that. Yeah.
that's an achievement, that's an achievement unlocked. So Yeah.
Very cool.
It really is.
So, for those who are listening, be sure to chime in on our Twitch thread, because you could ask questions of Carrie or any of our other guests, just like Princess in Christ is getting to. Princess in Christ would like to know your most interesting random source of inspiration, either as a writer or a reader.
Random source of inspiration. Ah, yeah. I don't have random. I have random sources. There's definitely little things that'll happen during a day with the kids or whatever that will
Mhm.
find their ways into stuff. But I don't find anything I'd consider random. Like I guess going from like the Amish Vampires in space thing was pretty random. As far as
Yeah.
deciding to pick up that challenge. But yeah, I don't know. Other than that,
Okay.
Speaking of that, I can imagine a house full of toddlers is what inspired Michael Crichton to write Jurassic Park.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
possibly,
don't
yeah,
know that. I'm just,
yeah, yeah.
The Velociraptor.
Right.
Oh gosh. So Carrie, can you describe your writing space?
Sure. Typically, right upstairs we have it's kind of a media room, so that's kind of where the big screen is and the video games, but it's also kind of my space and
Mm.
it's insulated around in the walls, so it makes it a little quieter. But yeah, I can just kind of lay back and laptop on the lap and have at it there. So
Very cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
some movie posters on the wall. Yeah, it's a good space.
Hmm. Sounds like it.
Yeah,
so, a slightly related question: tea, coffee, or other?
I'm a big tea fan. I especially like fruit teas and herbal teas, and yeah, we have a
Hmm.
home group that meets at our house every Wednesday, and I usually try to sling a new tea on them, if I have it. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, it's kind of
So
yeah.
have you tried any of the Harney and Sons tea, or is that slightly below your level?
I don't know if I've ever had that. David's tea. I was a big fan of David's tea. Now they're not. They were in malls for a while. I don't know if they are anymore, but you can get them online. Um,
Mm.
but I'll even pick up ones at the local grocery store. If they seem interesting. So yeah, I like the ones that are kind of interesting. Like, okay, I didn't expect cornflakes in my tea, but it's pretty cool. Frosted flakes or whatever. Okay, so
That's
Oh, okay.
that's wild.
yeah, I did have one that was like a breakfast cereal. Now it did have like frosted flakes in it. They didn't make their way into the tea, but it definitely sweetened it some. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that
very
that's
cool.
that's very unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my seasonal ones I'm drinking right now is Harney and Sons has a heirloom Bartlett pear blend.
Ooh,
And
that
it
actually
Okay.
sounds good.
it actually smells
Ooh.
like pears. It's got some pear leaves and peach bits and stuff and other stuff in it. It's really good if you like fruit teas.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a sassafras watermelon, and that was really good. And a nice,
Oh, that sounds good.
interesting,
Oh,
interesting mix. So yeah.
For herbal
very good.
teas, Harney and Sons, they also have a berry blend, a bunch of different berries, and it's a Rubio base instead of a tea base. So
Okay.
it kind of tastes like a warm hug. I don't know if how
Yeah. There you
how to
go.
describe
Yeah.
that, but
Everybody needs that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely have to try that. So, Aaron, got a question?
I just asked a question.
Yeah.
It's
He
true.
did.
That's true. Um, let's
I mean, I can ask
see.
another one, but give you guys a chance.
So, oh, one of my personal favorite questions to just ask, period. What three authors, alive or dead, would you like to sit down for a monthly lunch with?
Huh. Uh, C.S. Lewis, maybe that would be interesting. Hmm. be Edgar Rice Burroughs. Be an interesting character.
Oh, good
And then
choice.
Michael Crichton too.
Yeah.
Any of those would be good.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Um, so for you, I mean, you've had a pretty lengthy career as an author so far. What's been the
Yeah.
hardest scene for you to write so far?
The last one.
That's a good question. Yeah, the last one. Yeah, the last one. The one I'm working on right now is the hardest, because I'm in that stage where I haven't started going through it again. It's like, so you're kind of insecure about it and like, okay, how
Hmm.
big of a mess
Yeah.
is this? Hopefully not too bad. But it
Hmm.
it also felt because it was getting so long that it was like, okay, I'm fighting time here to get this
Hmm.
this this done. So
Yeah.
yeah, the last one, like Aaron said.
I think there's a lot of authors who can probably relate to
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So looping back a little bit, you're sitting down to lunch with Edgar Rice Burroughs and Michael Crichton. Well, one of my questions would be like, so you both have characters named John Carter. Coincidence?
Interesting. Yeah, probably not. I mean, those JC characters, right? The
Mm-hmm.
whole
Yeah.
JC thing. You give somebody a JC name, and then he's going to have to be, he's going to live sacrificially or, for others and rescue
Yeah.
people. Because, yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
like Stephen King has JC characters too, right?
Yeah, he does.
I haven't read Stephen King to know. So,
Me either. Because,
I was
yeah,
trying to remember
too
the
creepy for
what's
me.
what's the movie with the takes place in a prison and the character can heal people.
The Green Mile.
Yeah, in the Green Mile, he has a JC character, right? That's the healer.
John
That's
Coffey.
his name.
Yep.
Yep,
Hmm.
and he's aware of that. Stephen King was aware of that. I saw it in an interview where he said, "Yeah, I knew if I gave him a JC name, he's got to have kind of these characteristics." So,
Yeah. Um. So one that we don't get to ask that frequently. Um. What's the most difficult thing about writing characters from like the opposite sex?
uh, I guess just the insecurity as to whether you got him right or not.
mhm.
But I don't really struggle with it, and thankfully, like my wife will read them and say, "Oh yeah, you did pretty good," and I'm sure they're not perfect, but I your authors are trying to step into that character, as much as you can, and
Hmm.
you know,
Mhm.
do your best.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, other than writing books, what are some other creative outlets that you find yourself doing?
Uh, well, I've done a lot of 3D printing in the last few years.
Yeah, quite a
Yeah,
bit.
Yeah.
you see that my my gun back there, my needler. Yeah,
Yep.
That's
so
cool. Mhm.
done a fair bit
Uh,
of, yeah. I actually now have 2 printers in the house, so,
Oh,
like,
fun.
my old one, I actually fried my original
oh
3D
no.
printer.
Ooh.
Yeah, it did start to smoke, and I was a little worried, but I couldn't get it to work again after that, so I ended up replacing the main board in it with a more upscale main board and got it to work again. So that was kind of a fun little project. I
Hmm.
haven't done any
Yeah.
hands-on hardware stuff in a while, so that
Yeah,
was kind of
all
fun.
electronics run on smoke, and once you let that magic smoke out, they don't work anymore.
Right, right, right.
I like that.
So, so yeah, it's all good. I don't know what my next big project will be. I'm trying to get this book done first, and then I don't
Hmm.
know. I'll get into something. It's the gluing and the sanding and the painting that takes all the time, not the printing. So,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
so
Yeah.
Yep.
you guys probably all saw my Halo armor when
Oh,
at the
Yes.
yeah.
Railmaker a few years ago.
Yes.
And what? And
Yeah,
didn't
that
you
was
do?
months of work. So
Oh, wow.
Whew.
And then I
Did
didn't
both
win.
dates.
And then I didn't win
Aw.
anyway.
Aw.
But that
So
was the year that Aaron and Mary Schlegel had the baby there the first year. So
yeah,
I'm pretty.
maybe.
I
Yeah.
think that
You
was
can't.
that
Yeah, you
year.
can't. You can't. I don't know if that was the year or not. Was it the year? I think that was the year before
Oh, maybe.
because because their daughter was calling me the green robot when I was a kid. And she apparently still does. So
Yeah.
her I think Mary's mom got her a Halo Master Chief for Christmas or something. So she carries that around, and it's
Oh,
the green
nice.
robot, and it's that guy I met. So it's pretty
That's
cool.
hilarious.
I can live with that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
That's hilarious.
There are worse things to be associated with.
That is true.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, you guys probably don't know that there for you. So the conference was in New Jersey, Atlantic City that year, and below where the our dinner was, there was actually a kids dance competition going on. Did you?
Oh.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so when the dinner was over, I had to like walk past all that. Like I had to wear my stuff back, and it was it was insane. It was just like crowds of people coming at me, and my mom loves you. My mom loves you. Or like, okay, I don't know your mom. So, it was crazy. But
Oh
yeah,
my
Oh, that's
gosh.
great.
thankfully Stephen Burnett was with me, kind of escorting me, and he was kind of there to kind of keep the people at bay and
Mhm.
take pictures one at a time. So yeah, it was pretty
Mhm.
cool.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
That's very funny.
Yeah, yeah, it was. So
Oh my gosh.
That's good memories.
yeah, for
Um.
sure. Yep, yep.
So editing and marketing. Going from something fun to something just that's pure work. Editing and
Yeah.
marketing. Like, how do you go about doing those?
So editing, I'll usually do uh, a solid pass myself, and then, well, I usually hire an editor to go through it again, just for my own confidence, and I have a couple trusted readers, that kind of have a sci-fi background and even a science background that I'll let go through it as well. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I usually do a lot of editing myself, but then offload it as well, just for sanity and for another. I think it's good to have another perspective,
Hmm.
like yeah. So that, and then marketing. Hey man, I don't know. The best marketed book I ever had, I had nothing to do with the marketing on. Like Amish
Yeah, I was
Vampires
just luck.
Yep.
Yeah.
got mentioned on Tonight Show. That's the best marketing. But how do you replicate that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who
I don't know.
knows?
You
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah. So
Best word of mouth.
I've had some success with Facebook ads in the past, and I've experimented with Amazon ads, and it's hard to be consistently good at those things. But
Mhm.
I
That's
probably should
true.
put more time into them as well, and I feel guilty about that. But I also like to write,
Yeah.
so
I
Yeah.
I definitely understand that problem. That's kind of where I'm at with my marketing as well. It's like
Oh
I
yeah.
really need to put more time into, working these Amazon ads or working on Facebook ads or BookBub ads, and it's like I don't have the time. I don't have the money. But,
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
if I invest the money, I might have the money, so it's kind of a
right,
never-ending circle
yeah.
too.
There's
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
there's like me who's like apparently cursed with marketing. Everybody says, "Oh, do this," and I do that. Nothing. But it worked for
Yeah.
me.
You
Like,
always feel like
eh.
yeah, you feel like you're always hitting the wave kind of after it's passed. Like
Yep.
you're trying to ride that wave after it's
Yep.
like, yeah, that was good 2 months ago, but now, yeah,
mhm.
not so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
So, do you have any suggestions for, the general writing population on how to become a better writer?
Um, read a lot. Reading helps. You start to get intuitive on how things should sound, and how sentences should be constructed, and sort of what the beats of a plot are. The more you read, more natural that becomes.
Mhm.
Reading things out loud definitely, especially dialogue, definitely helps make it more authentic. Because when you hear it in your ear, like, oh, okay, that doesn't sound. No one would say that. So you can kind of get an idea for how things should sound. Just uh, yeah, not being afraid to let other people into your writing world. Like I know for starting out, it's always like, oh, I'm too insecure, or that guy's going to steal my ideas. But that's
Yeah.
not the case. You need to get in some writing groups or get some friends that write too that can help with the process.
Mhm.
Just so,
Absolutely.
I guess that'd be my advice.
Yep. It is very writing is a very singular activity because you're sitting down and doing it at a head, whether writing fiction or nonfiction. But when that first draft is done, getting those extra eyes on there, so important.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And try not to take it personally when you get criticism, which is hard. It's hard, but
Yeah.
it's much better to take the criticism when it's still being worked through than
Hmm.
after it's out there and now reviews are saying this is the worst book ever, right?
Oh
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
a couple of reviews on my most recent book that it's like I don't even know where you're coming from
yeah,
on a couple
well,
of reviews. It's like, okay, but that yeah.
Oh geez, I have a
yeah, you always get that. You
I have
always
a
get that along with the occasional. This book was not packaged correctly. I'm very not happy about that.
it's like that's Amazon's fault, not mine.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a
Exactly.
1-star review on Ethereal, and I'm reading this review going, has this guy even read this book?
They
Like,
don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is my
I
book.
wonder
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah,
It's
Yeah.
like, dude, you need a pancake and a puppy and a hug or
yeah.
something.
Right, right.
Why?
Oh, I
Yeah,
mean not to run too
and
deep,
yeah,
but my and it's since been taken down. But somebody on my third book once did a cost value analysis as to whether it was worth the time and money to read my series because I was writing novellas at the
oh,
time. It's been
Wow.
taken down since then. I don't know how and why, but
I
I was
wonder
like,
about people
oh,
sometimes.
it's like, yeah, it's like, I don't know why you would do that, but okay.
I don't know. My advice to
yeah,
people always is, when they get depressed about bad reviews, is like, all right, go to Amazon, look up your favorite book of all time ever.
yeah,
That book will have several
yes,
1-star reviews from
yes,
apparently crazy people.
It's
right,
true.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
anything,
That's the thing.
any top book will have those. And it's like,
Mhm.
eh?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
the bell curve, yeah, if you look at the bell curve for books, they're pretty similar, and if you hit
Mm-hmm.
75 to 80% of the readers are happy, you've done your work,
Mhm.
you've done okay. So
Yep.
no one does better than that, really.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, you really can't predict the state of mind of the people when they're reading it, right? Or what they're going
Mhm.
through in their life,
Mm.
Yeah.
or how this is going to hit them, because it could be a ton of reasons why, for whatever reason, this book doesn't hit them right today. And maybe you've had this experience. I've had books where I've read them in the past and they were just like, yeah. But then I've read them later
Yep.
and it's like, oh, this is really good.
Or
Actually,
vice
Dune
versa
is that book
sometimes,
for
even.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Dune, I read it in high school, and I was like, ah, this is okay. But back then, Star Wars is the big thing, and that's kind of what I
Mhm.
wanted. I didn't get that, but then I read it as an adult, and I was like, oh, this is actually quite fine. This is a
Mm-hmm.
really
Really
good
good. Yeah.
book.
Oh
But
yeah.
this is a
Mhm.
different period of your life, so
Yep.
yeah, you can't predict that.
Yeah, and conversely,
Got to tell your
I
story.
look at some books that only have 5-star ratings and no 1 stars, and it's like,
Nah, it's not
no
right.
crazy people have found this book yet, but
Yeah, right,
something to
right,
the opposite
right.
level is going on here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Their
Yep.
family loves it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. That's
yeah.
it precisely. So,
Yep.
Awesome.
uh,
Well,
so Carrie, I know you're finishing up the draft for this book. So, what's
Yeah.
up next for you? Are you just working on getting that done, or do you have your sights on a project down the line that you're going to be working on?
yeah, I'm working on getting that done, and I am doing some thinking about what's next. I have a bunch of ideas. Many of them are not necessarily fiction, so I don't know what's going to happen there. I have like kind of 4 or 5 things. I'm like, this might be what I want to write on next, but I'm not sure. So, and believe it or not, I made the hugest mistake the other day. Well, maybe not the hugest, but I actually had an agent contact me at Railmakers and say, when you're working on your next idea, give me contact me, and we'll talk it through. And so I emailed and didn't get any response. So then I was like, oh, I looked at the card and it's like, oh, there's a phone number here with the extension. So I I called, and of course I got voicemail, and I'm
Of
like, okay, well
course.
I'll just leave my name and number. And when I got to my cell phone number, I totally blanked on the number. Like I could not remember my own
Oh, I
number.
hate when that
I don't dial
happens.
it very I don't dial it very much, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to sound like an idiot now, And so I did finally get it, but there was definitely an awkward pause in there while I was, yeah, trying. So,
Hmm.
Oh, I've been there. I can
so
remember
yeah,
my
I
dead
hope
grandma's
to.
phone number from the 80s. Like, what's my number,
Yeah,
though? I never
exactly.
call myself. I mean,
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So
Yeah,
the camera
I
guy there. Yeah.
I can't remember Josh's phone number or my daughter's phone number. So anytime I have to leave a message with their phone numbers, I'm quickly pulling up my phone book and being like, let's read this off real quick
it's what the
because
contact
Yep.
they
list is for, yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. So my number I remember, but I've
Yeah.
had it for like 20 years. So
Well, that's the thing. You don't call your own cell phone that often. Like it's not something you
mm-mm.
do. But
No, I have to leave it on messages often enough that it's like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Although my daughter feels that it's pointless to leave your phone number with your voicemail because everybody has caller ID, and I'm like, well, there's still
right.
the
They just
off.
call you back anyway.
Yeah, they still have the off chance that it doesn't come up quite right or whatever. So
Right.
yep,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
yep.
Good point. Probably still thinks I'm an idiot though. That's the thing. It's like, what's wrong with
No.
this guy? So, oh
Eh.
well. Oh well.
I I'm
So,
sure he's had the same issue before in the past.
yeah. Makes
So
a good story anyway. So
it
yeah.
does, it does.
It
So,
does.
Right. Very good.
so.
Well, we've been chatting for a while here, and we could probably go on all day, but we probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've
Yeah,
already
that's
asked what's
good.
up
How long
next
did you?
for you. Where can we contact you or learn more about you or your work, books?
Sure. Well, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on MeWe. Um, www.neetz.com is my website. So nietz.com. You can find all my books and news there and whatever. So
Yep.
yeah. Or you can just search for Amish Vampires in Space and you'll find me too.
It'll
Yeah.
pop up.
So
Yep.
That's true. You're
yeah.
that. I'm pretty sure that that's the only book with that title in existence.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I don't know if there are duplicates of my name out there either, but this is kind of
yeah.
unusual as well. But
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
definitely that title.
yep. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for joining us today, Carrie. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
has been. Thanks for having me back again. I'll have to do
Yeah,
it
no,
again sometime in the future. Yeah.
yeah, no problem.
All right, you
Yeah.
guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, for our listeners, we are taking December off unless somebody just cannot get in any other time. But look for us back in January. We'll be starting out the year with Lindsay Franklin. Uh, the Twitch broadcast for that will be on, I believe, tentatively January 11th.
Yep.
Um, Watch our Facebook page for updates on that. Also, do remember that you can join our Discord server and talk about the shows, talk about upcoming guests, recommend people. So look for a link on our Facebook page and in our show notes for that. Aaron, do you have anything coming up?
Nope.
You don't have anything you want to promote?
Not right now. Wings of Truth is my last book out. I'm working on a couple of different shorts and also working on the sequel to A New Threat, which, with any luck, will be out next year, I hope.
Yay.
But I am the world's second slowest writer, so who knows?
I'm the slowest writer. So
And then Josh and I will be part of an anthology next year, and we should be also having our first book together come out next year, provided we can get
Cool.
all of our ducks in a row. So
The
we
beta
would
I read
love-
was really good. So
Thank you.
thanks.
But you're supposed to say that because you're our friend.
Yeah.
well, you know.
We'll Venmo you later.
I'm your friend. I will tell you your face if it sucks. So
So,
So I think both of those projects are tentatively to be kickstarted. So keep an eye on that space. We'll be talking about that more next year as things come up. Otherwise, everybody, we hope you have a very happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving, Happy New Year,
and other assorted holidays.
and others assorted holidays. We have some friends that are Jewish, so Happy Hanukkah as well. Otherwise, we will see you in 2025.
yep. And thanks again, Kerry, for joining.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Merry
You're welcome.
Christmas.
Thanks for inviting me. Great. See you. Good to see you all.
Yep.